Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Even though their crews could be considered rivals, Luffy and Shanks have had a great respect and friendship between them for quite a long time, in addition to the fact that they carry a promise together in which Luffy will return Shanks' hat once he becomes a great pirate. However, what might have happened if Shanks had accepted Luffy into his crew? How might have events played out a little differently, and what would have been Luffy's fate within the crew? So in today's video, we're going to talk about what a reality like this could be, what Luffy's relationship with Shanks might have developed into, and what Luffy's new objective might have been if he had been a member of the red-haired pirate's crew. Before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like or even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, ever since we got a glimpse into Luffy's childhood, it's absolutely easy to see how much Luffy admired Shanks, and the respect still lasts to this very day in the current story of One Piece. Shanks truly is Luffy's role model, being practically a childhood hero and the man he wants to surpass eventually. They may end up becoming rivals sometime later in the work, but it's all going to be focused on Luffy achieving his final goal of becoming king of the pirates, and whatever else happens to be out there that fate has in mind. Now at first, Shanks never really took Luffy seriously because he was just an immature little boy, so he often mocked Luffy's dreams about becoming a pirate because he lacked the strength to become a great pirate, at least right then. During the time he spent with Shanks, Luffy always asked to join his crew, but Shanks would always refuse because Luffy just wasn't prepared to navigate the dangerous seas where Shanks and his crew would be off to next. Later, when Shanks and his crew were getting ready to depart after he had defended Luffy against Higema and his men, Shanks invited Luffy to join his crew because he had noticed Luffy's great determination, seeing in that little boy a small bit of his former captain Goldie Roger. And for this reason, Shanks decided to invite him to his crew, now wishing to sail together with Luffy throughout the seas. But after everything that happened with Higema and Shanks losing his arm, Luffy realized that he wanted to have his own crew. He wanted to do something other than the red-haired pirates. So Luffy declared that he would surpass him, causing Shanks to start treating him a bit more seriously, because creating his own crew and finding his own companions was exactly the thing that Shanks wanted to see Luffy do. Faithful companions who would help him complete his goal of becoming king of the pirates. So at that point, he just couldn't join Shanks' crew, causing them to go their separate ways. Hearing Luffy deny his proposal to join the crew, well, Shanks was really happy with Luffy, seeing that in such a short time, the young boy understood the concept of becoming a pirate and what it meant. As a way of showing his confidence that Luffy would achieve his goal of becoming king of the pirates, Shanks gives him his straw hat, which is of extreme sentimental value to Shanks because it had belonged to his former captain. As he gives the straw hat to Luffy, they make a promise to each other that when Luffy achieved his goal of becoming king of the pirates, that then he would return the straw hat to Shanks. And we've seen throughout our story many examples where this is a promise that they both indeed cherish. Luffy defends the straw hat with his life and even calls it his greatest treasure because he doesn't ever want to see it destroyed or lost. He must return that treasure to Shanks because he let him borrow it. If Luffy had joined Shanks' crew, he may not have had the goal of becoming king of the pirates. This old goal might have been completely erased because he was part of a crew and wouldn't be able to be captain. Like Ace did, Luffy would have had the goal of making his captain the next king of the pirates, which in this case would have been Shanks, getting stronger and helping his crew find the road poneglyphs throughout their journey and defeating any powerful enemy that got in the way of this adventure. One interesting thing though is that Luffy would have been the only crew member who would have had a devil fruit because all the members of the red-haired pirates only use haki and some other sort of weapon when they take on enemies. However, being in a crew that has such a great mastery of haki, Luffy would have learned to use haki much earlier, and all three forms at that, receiving training from Shanks himself, which would make Luffy much more experienced in the use of haki, and Luffy might have even learned a little bit of fencing and swordplay, which would have actually been a really good idea because the only real weakness that his devil fruit has is cutting attacks. So if Luffy were actually much more proficient with a sword, he might be able to not only fend off some of the attacks, but also use his devil fruit powers in tandem. Also, if Luffy hadn't become a captain and gone out across the sea and recruited the companions he did, many sad events could have happened, such as a large part of the Straw Hats losing their lives. Because as we know, Luffy was actually pivotal in saving the lives of many of the Straw Hats. If Luffy hadn't been there to save them, then Zoro, Nami, Chopper, Nico Robin, Frankie, and possibly even Sanji could have lost their lives during the conflicts that Luffy was supposed to save them from. For example, Zoro was set to be executed and would have had his life taken away by the Marines. Nami would have lost her life to Arlong after confronting him about his lie about buying the village back. Nico Robin would have been killed by Crocodile after he realized that she had been lying about the poneglyphs. Usopp would have died to Captain Kuro after his invasion of the island. Frankie might have been killed by CP9 when they were undercover in Water 7. And even Sanji and his family would have lost their lives to Big Mom's children when the eventual wedding would have taken place. So as we can see, Luffy was essential for each of the Straw Hats to stay alive when he joined and intersected their course. So this means that if he had not gone to sea alone to make his companions and make his own crew, most of the Straw Hats might not have made it this far in the story. Those who survived would have followed a completely different life path and may have never even ran into Luffy. So Luffy would have only had Shanks' pirates as his companions, never even knowing these people who would have changed the young lad for so much the better. If Luffy had joined Shanks' crew, he would have also entered the Grand Line much earlier, encountering powerful enemies much younger, which would have made him even stronger by forcing him to use his full capacity at a much younger age. Not to mention the fact that if he had run into an opponent that he couldn't fight alone, he could have even just gotten killed. I mean, even Ace's rescue would have played out very differently. Luffy wouldn't have been able to interfere in the fight because he belonged to a Yonko's crew, and because he would have been interfering with a battle with Whitebeard and his pirates, this could have caused Whitebeard to react in an entirely different way than we saw. Now, Shanks probably would have just appeared at the end of the Marineford battle after Whitebeard lost his life, because he still would have needed to stop Kaido from interfering in the conflict and making the battle spread further. With his arrival in Marineford, Shanks was able to stop this great conflict, something that could almost happen in the same way even if Luffy had been a part of his crew, which would have caused the same events that we witness as Ace and Whitebeard lost their lives. Also, because he might not have had the dream of becoming king of the pirates, Luffy wouldn't have had Shanks' straw hat. It might have only been in the distant future where Shanks made a great promise with him or then bequeathed it to him when he was ready to retire. And finally, there were several other events that happened during Luffy's journey that would have completely changed. I mean, there would have been islands and countries that the Straw Hats would not have saved and would still be dominated by very powerful crews. Kuro would have completed his goal in taking over Syrup Village. Arlong would have still ruled Nami's island. Enel would have been carrying out his plans in Skypiea and developed the Arc Maxim. Crocodile would have gained control over Alabasta. Doflamingo would have dominated and destroyed Dressrosa, probably turning everyone into toys. And several other events in which Luffy and the Straw Hats helped prevent. In fact, the world of One Piece would have found itself in a completely different state than we know it right now. There's even the possibility that Luffy would have never been able to awaken the power of his Devil Fruit. It's entirely possible that Luffy was only able to acquire his gear system through Rayleigh, a training that would have never happened, and in addition to that, Luffy might not have ever awakened Gear 5th during the confrontation against Kaido, because if Luffy were a part of a Yonko's crew, he would have never had the opportunity to face against someone as strong as another Yonko, because they try to avoid conflict with each other. If Kaido had decided to attack the red-haired pirates, it would have been Shanks who was responsible for taking on the leader of the Beast Pirates. So because of this, Luffy would have hardly had the opportunity to face enemies that would have really made him raise his power to the maximum. Each of these powerful opponents that Luffy has faced have awakened emotion of combat and caused his mind, his body, and his Devil Fruit to go into a wonderful level of synchronicity, so that only then, through that conflict and challenge, was he able to awaken the Nika Nika Fruit and become Joy Boy. I mean, even current events would have made it impossible for this to happen. Let's just think about the current story we find in the manga right now. Dragon might have told Vegapunk about his son Luffy, but the young boy might have never been able to help the great scientist and even help him escape from Egghead before the world government had ordered ZP0 to take his life. I mean, even the reign of Kaido in Wano would still remain. So as we can see, even if it is a bit of a hypothetical, if Luffy had joined Shanks' crew when he was younger, many great misfortunes would have happened in the world of One Piece. We would have never had the opportunity to meet any of the Straw Hats, nor see any of them achieve their dreams. We would only get the chance to follow Luffy's adventure with Shanks' crew in a world in complete chaos. And this is something that not even Shanks would have been able to stop, because he didn't follow the same path that Luffy did on his journey to achieve his worldwide recognition. So although Shanks' crew might have provided Luffy different opportunities, we could see that it would have been a much more complicated world in which to live in. I mean, there's even the possibility that Luffy would have never wanted to find the One Piece treasure, adventure, and instead follow a much simpler and easier objective to obtain, further distancing Luffy from what he was really meant to do in this world. But now that we've completed our thought experiment, we'd love to know what you think about it. First off, what do you think about our analysis of what could have happened and all of the losses and things that we wouldn't have seen happen in the world of One Piece if Luffy had joined Shanks' crew? Also, what's another hypothetical that you might want to see us take on here in the channel? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we bring our video to a close, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching the video, especially those of you who've hung out till the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.